What's up, nerds? Welcome to another episode of the Multiverse Report. Tonight, of course, we are recapping the week's nerdy news from Hill Valley to Octo and everywhere in between. That's right, my name is Mike Gibson. With me, as always, Steve Haller. What's up, Steve?
Probably a lot of squinting this week because I just had LASIK. So if anybody on
how'd
the
that
live
go?
stream, it went. Actually went amazing, but it's an experience for anyone who hasn't done it. So if you see any squinting on the live stream or me looking weirdly at things, that's probably why.
Yeah, I'm surprised you're not wearing just like sunglasses. while you're
This
staring
is
at
the first
bright
day
screen.
where like light sensitivity hasn't been screaming in my head.
Oh, okay.
So
All right. Well, glad that you're feeling good and glad that your eyes have recovered. I'm getting a laser shot into them.
yes, yeah, it was the Death Star on my cornea, and there's nothing like the smell of your own burning flesh. So.
Yeah, it's weird, right? Yeah, my wife got
real
it
weird.
a couple years ago. Very weird.
Yep, fun stuff.
Yep.
But either way, that is probably the least fun thing we're going to talk about tonight.
I can almost guarantee.
Yeah.
I mean, who knows what comes up? Who knows what'll come up? But as far as our rundown, we certainly have some more things to talk about, which we'll get to shortly. We have more Star Wars talk, pretty much continuing the conversation we had last week.
Mhm.
And then we also have some Marvel stuff. We each have a comic book to review, I believe, this week. No, just me. Well,
Just
still
you.
me. For the first time in quite some time, I have a comic book to review.
We're flipping things. We're flipping the script.
Yeah. Wow. Well, all right. Can't wait. Before we dive in, we just got to say this podcast is sponsored by Funky Town Comics and Vinyl, Camillus, New York. A wonderful place to go if you are into anything that we're about to talk about on this show, but also vinyl, records, music of any kind, and toys. Toys. Oh my God, the toys that they have at Funky Town Comics and Vinyl. Go check them out, please. Go check them out.
And anyone who's been in there recently has seen a couple things sitting on the floor over near the new comic rack that maybe portend things in the future.
Yeah. We can't talk about that yet,
Huh?
right? We're not supposed to talk about that yet?
No, but if you go in,
Okay.
you'll see it.
Yeah.
It's gonna be great, and
It's gonna be awesome, man. I'm really excited
God,
about it.
it's gonna be amazing. So more to come when we can talk about that. But until then, go in and check out Funky Town for all your nerdy needs.
Yeah.
They the toys the toy selection recently. I watched somebody bring in some stuff they were selling to the shop, and I saw Domino Rally.
Oh my God, Domino Rally.
I hadn't thought of Domino Rally in
Oh my
probably
God.
30 plus years.
Yeah.
And I saw that, and I was like
Best.
I was like an 8 or 10-year-old kid again. Like, oh my God, I need
Hell
that. Like finding it in the Sears catalog or wherever the hell I found it.
Hell yeah, Domino Rally.
Yep.
Oh man.
So, and I never had a Domino Rally. I had one friend that had the glow in the dark one that was the greatest thing since sliced bread.
I had one and my sister had one. I had a regular one. My sister had the glow in the dark one, and I was very jealous that it was hers and not mine.
Oh yeah.
Very jealous of her glow in the dark Domino Rally. Yeah. All right. Anyway, yeah, Funky Town Comics, check them out. Or check out any nerdy pop-up Airbnbs that went viral over the summer for no reason at all. Check that out.
reason.
No reason. Anyway, speaking of nerdy things, which we constantly are.
Right. I mean, that's literally what we do weekly. that's what we're here for, Mike.
Literally the only thing we're about to do for the next hour plus, most likely. Star Wars. Star Wars is a very nerdy thing. We had a very lengthy and in-depth conversation about some Star Wars news and rumors and rumblings that were going on last week on the pod. If you listened, talked for quite some time about Simon Kinberg being hired by Lucasfilm to write a new Star Wars trilogy and how that would affect the new Jedi Order film starring Daisy Ridley as Rey, directed by Sharmeen Obaid-Chinoy, that was announced at Celebration. And regardless of how that trilogy affects that film or whatever, we were pretty sure that that movie, at least, was not going to be ready in time to hit its December 2026 release date. And we were right. We were right. Because Disney has removed the untitled Star Wars film that was dated December 2026. They have removed it from the release calendar. Now, I'm talking as if this was the new Jedi Order film. There's no confirmation on what Star Wars movie this was supposed to be or was going to be, but the speculation that it was the new Jedi Order film, I think, just came from knowing or things that we've heard that that movie seemed further along in development than James Mangold's Dawn of the Jedi movie or the Dave Filoni Mandalorian verse film that he's putting together.
Right.
However, as we mentioned last week as well, that movie it's currently on its third writer. And I say third writer because I have heard now from 2 weeks from Scooper Jeff Snyder that they have signed another writer for the new Jedi Order film. That writer, the name has not been made public. Maybe deals are still looking to get signed. So that film is still in development. The signing of Simon Kinberg to write a new trilogy has not completely railroaded and killed the Obeyed Chinoy new Jedi Order film. But the new Jedi Order film is not going to be released December of 2026, which is a bummer. Now, there was some speculation last week that maybe another Star Wars film could be ready in time to hit that date. Clearly, that's not true either, or it didn't work out because Disney has removed it from the calendar. No big surprise, to be honest with you. If you listen to us talk about what, if you listen to our conversation last week, this should not be a huge surprise. It's not a huge surprise to me. Maybe a huge surprise to people that aren't quite as in the weeds as Steve and I are, or you wonderful people that are listening to us right now. We talked about last week that there was no pressure for Lucasfilm to hit that date anymore, as their sights had kind of shifted from that Christmas release date to making sure they had a Star Wars film, whether it's the launch of a new trilogy or a standalone film, in theaters in time for the 50th anniversary of Star Wars in 2027. Just quick, in regards to the new writer of New Jedi Order, whose name has not been made public.
Right.
Steve. The thing that I heard Jeff Snyder say this week that he believes that it's going to be an older writer, somebody like a veteran of the industry.
How veteran?
I don't know. But what would you think? And I'm not trying to lead you in one way or the other by asking you this question. But what would you think if they brought back Lawrence Kasdan to write this movie? Maybe with some help from his son, Jake. Right?
See, and that's the thing, is as soon as you said a veteran writer, the first thing that popped into my head was Larry Kasdan. Like, there's no... like, immediately,
that's
Star Wars and veteran writer, like, it's hand in hand. And, I mean, he does good work.
Yeah.
I mean, when your screenwriting credits are Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi, Force Awakens, Solo, and Raiders of the Lost Ark, like, you're doing good. And The Bodyguard, I forgot he did The Bodyguard.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
He does do good work. I feel like I have like mixed feelings on it because I like all those movies.
Yeah.
That you just mentioned. But part of me wants like some freshness.
Yeah.
Into a new Star Wars movie. So, but I can see them wanting to like play it a little bit safe, at least for like a first draft.
No, Star Wars never does that, Mike.
They do it a little too much in movies, at least.
Wouldn't disagree. Would not disagree.
Or the times they don't, they get scared when there's a negative reaction. They run back to safeness.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I just wanted to throw that out there. So now, after all that news, the Hollywood Reporter this week put out an article summarizing kind of the goings-on at Lucasfilm, basically everything that I just walked us through and talked about. Mentioned how apparently there's a lot of what they called parallel work going on at Lucasfilm, people writing scripts without necessarily paying attention to whatever is happening, and basically like seemingly putting forward this article put forward the idea of whoever's got the best idea, whoever's got the best script is the one we're going to go with. And if it contradicts another script that someone else is working on, sorry, too bad. We're just trying to get something off the ground here. And they're kind of coming at it from different approaches. But seemingly, the one similarity between a lot of these different scripts that are being worked on, and obviously this doesn't include things like the Lando movie that's being worked on, or James Mangold's Dawn of the Deadeye Dawn of the Jedi movie.
There's no Halloween residual in your brain there.
Yeah. It's like a little Evil Dead, like Dawn of the Deadites. I would watch that movie.
Oh, there you go.
That'd be cool. Anyway, but the one common denominator between a lot of these scripts is the utilization of the character of Rey, as played by Daisy Ridley. This article quotes some insiders, Lucasfilm insiders, saying that the character of Rey is currently, quote, the most valuable cinematic asset Star Wars has right now. Another insider was quoted as saying, Star Wars is a nostalgia-based enterprise, and they are running out of ways to create nostalgia. And also, whether, quote, to make standalone movies or continuing the Skywalker saga in any form is a fundamental question that the company faces as it tries to move forward.
Hey,
so
you know what solves their problem?
What's that?
Make a good goddamn movie.
Make a movie.
Like any movie, as long as it's good. Star Wars is a nostalgia-based franchise strictly for the fact that the nostalgia was the good movies.
Right, yeah.
Like
we're only nostalgic for it because we liked them when they were good. Yeah.
We're not nostalgic for them just for nostalgia's sake. We're nostalgic for them because that was what we enjoyed because they were good.
Here's how I interpret that. The sequel trilogy, love it or hate it, sequel trilogy is firmly rooted in attempting to create a nostalgic response. At least, I mean, certainly Force Awakens. Force Awakens was like built on the fan base's nostalgia for the original trilogy. 100%. Last Jedi, less so. It was more of a, I don't care about nostalgia. I'm giving you something different and challenging. A lot of people reacted negatively to that. So they tried to recapture that nostalgia in episode 9, and it didn't quite work for anybody,
right?
Really, or most people.
And I know we've talked about it multiple times where half of the problem of all of this and that entire trilogy was strictly the way the pendulum swung. Because there wasn't any iterative change. It was strictly, oh, we're going to go full nostalgia and remake episode 4 with bigger super lasers and
new effects
a giant, planet-killing weapon. And then we're going to whip it completely the opposite direction with The Last Jedi, which both of us liked. Yeah. But the general commentariat was loud enough that they didn't.
Yeah,
and then it swung all the way back for whatever the hell Rise of Skywalker was.
Yeah. Like I don't necessarily think, like, I guess I'm saying that I see what they're saying by calling Star Wars a nostalgia-based enterprise, but I don't think it's fully nostalgia-based because, like, I don't think Last Jedi, besides involving characters that we are connected to and care about,
right,
it goes out of its way to say, like, let the past die. Like, there's a line in the movie, let the past die, kill it if you have to.
Yeah.
Like, it's saying, like, move forward. We are moving this thing forward. And a lot of people were crybabies about it. And I'm sorry, because you were crybabies, that's why we got Rise of Skywalker. Like, you're the problem. And Rise of Skywalker tries to go back and just doesn't do it as well. Just doesn't do it, doesn't have the right finesse to do it. So out of those 3 movies, I think one of them is really rooted in nostalgia. And yeah, you can say certainly that there are elements of Mandalorian that are purposely there to hit those nostalgia buttons end of season 2. Absolutely. But honestly, other than we get to see an IG droid and we get to see TIE fighters again and things
Right.
like that. Like,
And one of
it's
Yoda's
not
species, and like,
exactly. It's not necessarily like really pushing nostalgia. It's new characters. Yeah, okay, they go to the cantina on Tatooine, but like, I don't know. I don't feel an overwhelming amount of nostalgia when I'm
wasn't
watching
wasn't
Mandalorian.
that in Book of Boba Fett though?
Maybe, but it was also in Mandalorian. He go in the first season. He goes to
No.
Tatooine to get a job,
Yeah, but they
and
were in
it's how he ends up
Mos
meeting
Pelimoto
Fennec.
was in Mos Espa, wasn't she?
I don't think so. I think she was in Mos Eisley.
Hmm. Hey, we're in the weeds on Star Wars stupid shit. Um,
Yeah.
I'll
Figure
find
it
a way
out.
to Google that during the podcast, and we'll figure the answer
Yeah.
out by the end. But either way,
I'm
moving
pretty
on.
sure it's the same one. But and then things like Andor or the Acolyte aren't trying to be nostalgic necessarily. Ahsoka is to a certain degree. Ahsoka's trying to be nostalgic for like Rebels and
For a
not
cartoon
necessarily
show
the
that
original
nobody
trailer.
like,
Uh,
but when I
trilogy.
say nobody, I mean like the vast majority of people. Like we are huge Rebel stands, but
Yeah,
in the grand scheme of Star Wars fandom, nobody saw Rebels
yeah, right.
compared to people
Which is
that are
a
movie
shame.
only or whatever.
Yeah. Now, if they were trying to make a film that was targeting the nostalgia that prequel kids have
Yep.
for those movies, because the people that saw the prequels when they were 9 years old, I would understand that. But I don't think they're doing that. I don't think it's possible for them to really do that. They spent 7 years of a television show telling stories in that timeline. I don't think they can really harken back to that
Right.
age too much, besides the occasional flashback or something. So I kind of push back on calling it a nostalgia based enterprise. And if Lucasfilm, if that's true about how Lucasfilm views the franchise, then of course they're getting in trouble. They're having trouble coming up with a new movie
Yeah.
because if you're trying to mine nostalgia specifically, like, there's only so much you can do, and you need to move forward. You need The Last Jedi to push you forward, and you need to be okay with the fan reaction to that. But you
Right.
just got to stick to your guns and keep going. And I wish that they had,
And even
but
Trevorrow's script would have pushed things forward. Like the leaks
yeah,
of what we would have seen there, it would
yeah,
have moved things forward in a direction. It also would not have left them with one marketable star because they decided to write their other two stars out of the movie of Rise of Skywalker, effectively,
mm,
between Boyega and Oscar Isaac.
yeah. They don't have too much to do in that movie.
Right, like you took these two characters that had Rose Tico for that matter. You took
Yeah,
three characters that had very
specifically
promising.
Rose. Rose got the
Oh, Rose got the
shortest
shortest end of the stick,
Yeah,
but like all three of them, hey, let's move these characters forward and
yeah,
have some place to go. And it's like, we're just gonna ignore that and go hang out with Ray and Ben,
yeah.
and then we're gonna kill Ben. So now we're down to like one marketable anything.
Yeah, I certainly agree that Ray, when the quote that says Ray is the most cinematic or the most valuable cinematic asset that they have, like, yeah, of course,
Yeah,
like, I love Poe, I love Finn, I love a lot of the other characters, but like, Ray is the main character now
right.
moving forward, unless you want to completely start with new characters, which is, I guess, a possibility depending on what Simon Kinberg's doing. But
All right, so the
yeah,
Skeleton
Ray is
Crew
the
kids
link.
are going to end up being the new Jedi Order.
Sorry, what's the
I
beginning
said
of
the
that? Who's kids?
Skeleton Crew kids are going to end up being the
Yeah,
new Jedi Order.
yeah, yeah. Um, and I know there's people that don't like the character of Ray. I think they're crazy. I love her. I think she's a
Yeah,
great character, and I think that Rise of Skywalker did her dirty, but it did everybody dirty. So, um, yeah, I like.
I
I think everyone that
see now
works at Lucasfilm
to a
should take
degree.
a month off
Yep.
and just like walk away. They should all go on vacation and stop thinking about Star Wars for like a month, and then come back and be like, you know what? Here's like a good direction forward. Let's just like, this is the plot. And like, because the nostalgia will come. The nostalgia comes from seeing Chewbacca again, or seeing the Millennium Falcon, or hearing a TIE fighter. Like, that's enough nostalgia. You don't have to like dig up a random plot point that was glossed over from Empire Strikes Back to make me like feel connected to Star Wars. I'm already
No,
there.
show me a
I'm
T-70
there.
X-wing, and I am a happy, happy man.
That's all I need. That's all I need. Like nostalgia, I get it. Nostalgia's like baked in for us.
Yeah.
But I don't need Harrison Ford to show up, right?
Yep.
Or I don't need a Force ghost of Luke Skywalker to feel like I'm in Star Wars world. So
No,
I don't know. I hope
said,
that that's not what they're struggling with.
right. That said, the other day I ended up seeing the Chewie "We're Home" scene,
Yeah,
and it still brought tears to my eyes every single time.
Exactly.
It's just like, oh,
Right.
damn, it's
But
too
you
perfect.
you can't rely on that every time.
Oh no, like that was a
Yeah.
one shot. Like
Especially with what you did with all the legacy characters.
yeah.
Besides Chewie.
Right, and and like especially like it was a perfect moment in the film, but it was also a perfect moment for that trailer of when it came out, and it was just like, oh god,
yeah,
that just melted everyone. And you're like, yep, all right. And then I went and said that same line to my son on his 6th birthday when we walked into the Falcon.
Yeah,
it's like, ah, shit, all right,
we're home.
So yeah, no, Star Wars is Star Wars, and they're going to continue to Star Wars.
Star Wars.
They seem to not know what they're doing with the direction of the franchise or what's going on or anything at this point. So I guess we can just wax poetic about it whenever we end up finding more news.
I mean, TV seems to be cruising.
Yeah.
Like,
they have ideas there. They have episodic
and they're being
content.
allowed to take big swings.
Yeah.
Like the Acolyte was a big swing, and it didn't work for a lot of people, but it worked for me big time. And the fact that they're allowed to do that on TV is great. Like, I hope that they don't run away from letting those people take big swings.
See, that's the thing, though, is they let them take big swings. A good chunk of the people enjoyed it, but they're going to take away from it. Well, it was something new, and not everybody liked it, so it's not the good thing.
Right.
And they're going to do the same thing every major studio does and take the wrong, like, lessons away. It's like, no, make that, but make it a slightly better or more cohesive story, and people will like it. Or don't listen to the random chuds on the internet and, like, actually, look at reviews and stuff like that, where it's like, yeah, most of this was comprehensive and coherent, and there were some issues, which I don't disagree. But you laid a groundwork that had promise, and keep running with it.
Keep running with it. Yeah. Yeah.
I just wanted to say chuds on the internet. That was really the whole point of that rant.
You can say that as much as you want, because there's a lot of them.
It's true.
A lot of them.
It's true, Mike.
Making sure
all of it.
What? All of it. He's so good in that movie.
Oh god.
Ford is so good in Force Awakens.
Well, and then you go from that to currently we're watching Shrinking, which
I gotta start watching.
Oh my god, he is an absolute genius in that show.
Yeah.
And it's the complete opposite of any character you've ever seen him play. And he is the funniest human being on the planet during the show. It's awesome. Great.
That's awesome. National Treasure, Harrison Ford.
President Harrison Ford.
President Harrison Ford in the Marvel Universe, which we're going to talk about right now. Not specifically Captain America 4.
Everything else but Captain America 4.
Yeah, pretty much. An exclusive scoop dropped on the Hot Mic podcast this week. Jeff Snyder hearing that Spider-Man 4 is going to be pushed from its recently announced date of July 2026, mostly having to do with Zendaya's schedule with Dune and a bunch of other stuff that she is working on. And it's not like a huge... There's nothing really to dive into. He just said it on the podcast. This may be pushed. It's July 2026 is currently announced release date. It may end up getting pushed to the end of 2026 or into 2027, which who knows how that mucks up the rest of the MCU's timeline. But
you know what that means to me?
What?
That means to me that someone who doesn't know who Peter Parker is anymore is going to have a lot more of a role in this movie than I want them to.
Hey, yeah, you're right about that. From like the business side of it, like Zendaya is like a huge star.
Oh yeah,
But
like,
so I can see them being like, let's figure out how to get her in this movie. It's
well,
like,
no, and I get how to get her in the movie and like utilize her here and there, but like to have a big enough part they have to push filming because of it is
Good point, Steve.
that seems a little worrisome to me. That we're
That's a
going to
good point.
get, she's going to know within the first 20 minutes that Peter is Spider-Man again, and that's that.
Ugh.
And then we're going to spend the entire. Here's what we're going to do. He's going to tell her that. She is going to spend the rest of the movie not wanting anything to do with it, and then by the end of the movie, they're all happy-go-lucky again.
Sure.
Yeah, it's a given.
Like every Marvel movie starts out, ends the same place it starts out.
Yeah, it's an Ouroboros. It's fine.
So we'll see if that comes to fruition. Another thing that I'm excited about that was casually mentioned this week by Mr. Denzel Washington is that he
drops it.
may have a role in Black Panther 3, which I didn't even know that they were making. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess it was safe to assume
Right.
that we'd get a third Black Panther movie.
Right, and even if there wasn't anything greenlit, Coogler's probably thinking about it or writing something or doing something with it to
Yeah,
pitch
like I'm
to
sure Marvel wants a Black Panther 3.
Right.
It's been a successful enough franchise for them so far. But while speaking on the Today Show remotely, Denzel Washington was asked about what he's doing next, and he said, quote, "I've been talking to Steve McQueen about a film. After that, Ryan Coogler is writing a part for me in the next Black Panther. After that, I'm going to do the film Othello. After that, I'm going to do King Lear. After that, I'm going to retire." Not sure how serious he was about that, but he's got a lot on his plate. One of those things is a part in the next Black Panther movie. Now, Steve, I'm dropping this on you without any warning, but any inkling, any idea, any thoughts or characters jump into your head who Denzel Washington might play in a third Black Panther movie? Steve?
No.
Yeah, me either.
Like, I have nothing that in my, I'm also not nearly well-versed enough in Black Panther mythos to know or think about what he could be.
I don't know, deep lore of Black Panther. So I can't go, deep on those characters necessarily.
Yeah.
I mean, it could be anybody. It could be a character that is a different race or, not from Wakanda. It could be anybody. And it could be not a named character. It could be original character.
I guess it could be anyone throughout through the Marvel universe. You're right.
Yeah, of course it could. Yeah.
We think Black Panther 3, well, I guess all of them have been relatively centered on Wakanda, but it could be, something outside the box. Who knows what Coogler's cooking up, because we got no clue.
Could be another Atlantean or something.
Right.
Who knows? Or, I mean, an obvious choice with it, it'll be like a flashback and he's like a previous Black Panther.
Right.
Right,
it could be T'Chaka's father or something.
Something like that. Yeah.
Brian Rowlands is pining for the return of Coach Boone, bringing him into the MCU from Remember the Titans.
Yeah, that'd be great. Why not?
So Coach, there you go. Similar to how T'Chaka and his cousin, or T'Chaka goes to find his cousin who was Killmonger's father, who was a secret Wakandan emissary in Oakland at the time. Coach Boone was actually a Wakandan emissary and ends up becoming a high school football coach in North Carolina. There we go.
Perfect.
It's all full circle.
Yeah, maybe the story is that Wakanda wants to start their own football league.
The WFL.
So, the WFL. So they recruit all the best coaches and all the best players.
Right. There you go.
Wouldn't that be something?
This is why Marvel doesn't pay us money to make any movies, Mike. This is why Marvel does not pay us money to make movies.
Probably the worst idea for a Black Panther movie that could ever be uttered.
It's up there. The formation of the WFL. All right.
Pretty bad. Pretty bad. Speaking of things that are bad, terrible transition. But the trailer for the season 3 of What If dropped this week, and it's not bad. It's not bad. It's just not my cup of tea. I'm sorry for those What If fans out there. Steve, did you watch the trailer for season 3 of What If? And if so, did it spike your interest in watching it at all? Does it move the needle for you in any way?
No.
No, me either.
I did watch it. It seemed fine. I'm sure if you're tied into it and like enjoyed seasons 1 and 2, that it seems like more of the same.
Yeah.
But there was nothing that jumped out at me that said, "Oh, you know what? I really got to go back and watch season 2 so that I can catch up on this before."
I mean, we talked about how some of the episode titles were a little bit more interesting for season 3 than they were for season 2. But then I just watched this trailer and it just looked not interesting at all. I think I was like maybe on the fence because it's cool when you're hearing voiceover from Captain America and it's really Anthony Mackie talking. Like that's cool,
Right.
Stuff like that's cool. But then at the end when they all became like an Avengers Voltron robot, I was like, this is stupid. I'm out. I don't care about this at all. I don't want this. So,
yeah.
That was the moment when I was like, nope, we're passing this up. Seemingly billing it as the final season of What If, which I've heard before. But I can imagine like if this does gangbusters on Disney Plus, that of course they'll want to do more. Like why would they stop if people really like it? But maybe no one likes it. Maybe no one's watching it. That's
maybe
why.
But you know what may happen, and what that may portend is instead of this wraps up this storyline, and then if they want to do another season, they start a new What If.
Yeah.
Like a new multiverse type situation.
Yeah. And that's I think that's part of the reason that I don't really care about it is because it's just more multiverse stuff, and I'm so bored of multiverse stuff.
Right.
Like I thought the first season was okay, but now we're just so entrenched in multiverse stuff that I don't care about, that it's just like, oh, more but animated.
Right.
No,
do you think if this dropped at a time prior to the multiverse saga, that it would have been something that moved the needle a little more for you if you weren't already over saturated with it?
That's hard to say, but very possibly.
Yeah,
I could say very possibly.
I wonder if I kind of feel that way myself, that it's, bless you,
excuse me,
more of you're kind of more in the same vein of everything that's going on already.
Right. It's not like unique.
Right.
Despite the fact that it's animated, that's the only thing that sets it apart. I guess it's animated and they can do more than they can do because it's animated and it's not part of the main continuity, so they don't really need to worry about the main continuity. I mean, that stuff's cool, but then the stuff that they do doesn't really seem interesting to me at all.
Right.
So, I don't know. And I'm not sure what would, to be honest with you. I can't think of like, I guess in general, just like multiverse stories. I'm trying to figure out what I'm about to say because I already thought of a way to contradict myself in my brain. In general, multiverse stories that are like one-shots or that aren't going to be like a separate universe or a separate timeline or chronology that's going to be like followed and dug into aren't interesting to me. Like the What If comic series I never got into because it's like, oh, it's fun, I guess, but I'd rather see like a story and character development, and you don't get that in a What If. You don't get that in like a one-off, one-shot multiversal story.
Right.
The reason that I paused for so long before I said that is like there's comics like the White Knight, like Sean Murphy's White Knight series, the Batman thing that he does, which is not in main DC continuity, is its own universe or own timeline or whatever, and it plays with the mythology, but in a way that I think is great, and he's been doing it for so long. It's like its own, deep universe of things. If you want to do that, then maybe I'd be more interested. If you want to do like a whole series about Captain Carter or something that's going to like, flesh out her relationships with the other Avengers and stuff, but No, you give me like a little bit of it here, and then she pops up over here, but there's no like real. I don't know. It's just not the
Well,
same for me.
I guess the other thing too is it almost seemed like the original What If when and I'm going back a while here, but it seemed like everything was just a replacement for something else. There was
Yes. Yeah.
nothing that was like completely new and novel. Like some of I pulled up a list of like the best what ifs from Marvel Comics, and it's like,
Mhm.
what if Professor X ended up becoming the Juggernaut instead of Kane Marco, like his stepbrother?
Yeah.
Like, what if what if the Avengers defeated everybody?
Right.
Like, what if there was nobody else left to fight? Like, what if the Fantastic Four didn't get their powers? What if Phoenix didn't die?
That'd be pretty boring.
Right, but
Like,
like,
what's that book about? Just a family sitting around?
well, it's like it's them still having to fight these monsters,
Oh,
but without
okay.
their powers. And like, what if Phoenix didn't die? Like, what? Like when
Yeah.
Jean was cleansed of the Phoenix Force.
Right.
Um,
Yeah.
Beast and the Thing continue to mutate, like stuff like that. Not it's not all just like, what if this guy was Black Panther instead of this guy? What if this guy
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
Captain America instead of this guy? Like, I, don't-
Yeah.
it seems like there's a little more interesting. Yeah, what if Wolverine defeats the Hulk in that first fight?
Mm.
What's the ramifications from something like that
Yeah.
versus okay, everything's the same but everything's different.
Yeah.
So
Exactly. I think maybe that's what it is. Like, I want to see the rest of that timeline,
right,
and you're just giving it to me in like one shots, or you're just writing stories to give you an excuse to like build a giant Avengers Voltron robot. Like,
right.
is
What if
that really like the most sensical thing that would have happened
right,
based, in your timeline? Or are you just like, we should do this? Let's figure out a way to do this. That's less organic and interesting to me than like just introducing a different version of a character and then following that character's development. Like, it's like Ultimate Spider-Man or
right,
the all-in Batman, the ultimate or absolute Batman or whatever
right.
that people are loving. Like, this is gonna be like a series. It's not like, what if Batman was jacked and rode a motorcycle, and like,
What if
it's not a
Dazzler
one
became the
shot.
Herald of Galactus?
What if who?
Dazzler. Like literally, like
Like, that's
some of
just silly.
right, but like it's something different. It's not just
Yeah,
more of the same.
right.
What if Wolverine fought Conan the Barbarian?
That'd be cool.
I
I'd
mean,
read
that
that.
would end pretty quick, I would assume, but
But I also feel like they could just fight each other in mainline continuity, couldn't they?
probably.
They exist together, don't they? Or
I
is
mean,
Conan like far away?
Wolverine's been around a while, so probably.
Yeah, yeah. Anyway,
Yeah.
Well, we talked about What If way longer than I expected us to.
Yeah, that
Way
tracks.
longer. I can't think that we'll talk about this too long because I don't have much to say about it other than I like this actress. But Sophie Turner, and this is we have two stories. The next two stories are in the world of miscellaneous. We cover a lot of fandoms, but every once in a while, there's a couple stories that pop up that are, relevant to the likes of the people that either host this podcast or listen to this podcast. Um, that aren't necessarily Marvel or DC or Star Wars or Lord of the Rings or whatever we're talking about. So this is one of them. And that one is that Sophie Turner, Game of Thrones alum, Jean Grey herself, is currently in talks to star as Lara Croft in the new Tomb Raider series being developed for Amazon Prime as an epic globe-trotting series being written by Phoebe Waller-Bridge. Interesting pairing of things there. And I remember hearing about the Tomb Raider, the Phoebe Waller-Bridge doing Tomb Raider a while ago, but clearly they're far enough along that they're starting to cast. And Sophie Turner looks like she's going to be the new Lara Croft. Steve, you ever play a Tomb Raider game?
I still remember playing the original Tomb Raider on PlayStation with the full polygon mess. My buddy had it, and it was like, this is amazing. And now you look back on it, you're like, wow, that was horrible.
Horrid. I've never played a Tomb Raider game.
Mm-hmm.
I heard like one of the more recent, but it was probably like 15 years ago at this point, like remake or reboot games were very good. But never played them. Saw the first movie, thought it was fine. I like Sophie Turner. I like her despite the quality of some of the X-Men movies she's in. I think she's good in them. And I thought she was great in Game of Thrones. I know there's some people that disagree, but I like her. So I'm not like,
She had some high highs and some low lows. Like
yeah,
I feel like, especially towards the later end, when she could have showcased her acting chops, got kind of cut short a lot by what they were feeding her.
the quality of the films. Yes, I agree.
Similar to what happened in X Men.
Yeah. So I literally thought you were talking about the X-Men franchise.
6-1, half a dozen the other, yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but you're talking about the Game of Thrones side.
Yeah.
Both the same. So as someone who has played a Tomb Raider game,
Yes.
Steve, what do you think about her as Lara Croft?
Seems fine. I mean, I
Seems
guess
fine.
right. Like they seem to be continuing this franchise. From what I can gather, it has shifted from back in the early days being like a I guess sex symbol romp type thing to
Yeah.
like a strong female protagonist type maneuver, which has been a great rebranding for the franchise. And if they can pull off a competent movie in that vein, then I think that'll be quite beneficial all around.
Yeah, I think whatever game I think it came out in like 2013 or 14 or something. There was a new Tomb Raider reboot game that got pretty good reviews, and that was I think the first one that was like, no, let's just make her like Indiana Jones, and
Right.
she's gonna suffer. It's gonna be hard, but like she's she's tough. She's a badass, and she's it's not leaning on the sex symbol and giant pointy cone boobs of the original games. I'm interested to see. I haven't seen Sophie Turner in everything she's done. I certainly haven't seen her do. She does some action and X-Men stuff, but it's mostly her like, touching her temple and making something levitate or holding her arm out and doing something
Right.
like. I'm interested to see her in what could be or should be a very kinetic action adventure, like Indiana Jones.
Yeah.
Kind of thing where she's getting shot with arrows and falling down trap doors and shit like that. Like, that would be interesting for me. So
Yeah, you would kind
I
of
know
think that this would, because they try to make an Uncharted movie with Tom Holland and Marky
they
Mark.
did make it.
Yeah.
They did make it.
No, they tried to make it, from what I can gather.
I'm sure a lot of people tried very hard to make that movie.
It was ultimately
But-
made, but I don't know how
When you look at
successfully it was made.
The characters in the video games, and then you look at Tom Holland and Mark Wahlberg, gotta think, whoa, why are they doing this?
When you have Tom
both
Holland,
these people are miscast.
right? When you have Tom Holland, when it needed to be Nathan Fillion, yeah, very different.
Unfortunately, I think they should have made that movie 15 years ago with Nathan Fillion. Yes, but I think at this time he's probably a little too old to do it. But I agree that he was like the fan choice for a long time when they were trying to make that movie for years and years and years.
Yeah.
So hopefully this Tomb Raider series is better than the Uncharted film.
Yeah, and I
But
guess
I don't know that it's going to be better than those games because those games rule.
The last game, I guess, was Shadow of the Tomb Raider, which was 2018. So
Okay. Interesting.
I learned something today. Cool.
Cool.
But yeah,
Cool.
that's more than all of my thoughts on Tomb Raider, I think.
Yeah. Well, speaking of giant, huge action franchises, this one very close to my heart. Steve's a fan of it as well.
Jaws. Wait, no.
We got the trailer, the first teaser trailer, I should say, for Mission Impossible 8, called Mission Impossible Final Reckoning. The part 2 of Dead Reckoning came out last year?
Maybe? Yeah. Yes, because it was one of the movies that kind of underperformed last year.
That should have done way better, but
Yeah.
it was just way overcrowded summer. Yeah. In Mission Impossible Final Reckoning will be in theaters May 2020. 5. Awesome. Less than a year. Less than a year away. Trailer, it doesn't show you any huge action. It does show Tom Cruise hanging on the outside of like a biplane.
Yeah.
Looks,
There was a
looks
lot
pretty
of
wild.
biplane action during this.
Yeah, I feel like that's going to be a big
Yeah.
sequence. The way that they were shooting it.
Yep.
It looked really like the camera sliding one way as the plane kind of goes. It looked like it was shot really, really well. I'm excited to see like a full trailer for that. A lot of references to other moments in the franchise.
Okay,
leading
I
up
was
to
going
it.
to ask you because it seemed like there were a lot of set pieces that they put together in the montage that were like, I should know what that is. I should know what that is. I should know what that is.
Specific knife from the first movie
Yep.
that shows up. I'm not sure what the significance of that's going to be. The biggest one for me, I'm a big fan of Mission Impossible 3. And one of the coolest things about Mission Impossible 3 is that he's got to steal this thing that's called the rabbit's foot. And he does. But you never find out. It's like the MacGuffin of the movie.
Yeah.
But you never find out what it is or why why it's dangerous or why the villain wants it. Like the movie never tells you, which I think is really cool. And you never even see him steal it. It's like a big scene where he's got to break into a building and it's a whole rigmarole to get him. He's got to swing from one building up and land on top of the roof of a second building. And then he gets inside, but then it never shows you what happens inside the building. And the next thing is him just jumping out of a window with a parachute, like a building in in the middle of Shanghai, which is a pretty awesome sequence. But in the trailer, they show him picking up the rabbit's foot out of like a container or something. So I'm wondering, is this a flashback? Do we finally get to see him steal it? And they're like de-aging him or something? Or is he stealing it from where it is now, like in modern times? Like, but also, why would he need to collect all these items from his past? Like, what is happening in this movie? I don't know.
Yeah, that was definitely one of those moments where I'm like, I should know what that is.
Yeah. So I'm excited for this movie. I'm excited to rewatch all of them in the lead up for it. Do you think this is going to be the last one? The fact that it's called Final Reckoning, the fact that they are referencing the rest of the franchise.
This will be the last one until Tom Cruise says, I want to do another one.
Yeah, until it makes, $500 million.
Ving Rhames is looking a little long in the tooth.
Yeah, if you watch Dead Reckoning,
yeah,
keep track of the amount of times that Luther is shown standing up versus sitting down.
Oh,
and he is sitting down almost 100% of the time he's in that movie.
Yeah.
So, I think he's definitely getting a little long in the tooth.
I think as someone who is not remotely as tied to the Mission Impossible franchise as you are, the best thing you can say about this is it looks like a Mission Impossible movie.
Yeah, sure does.
Like, from the trailer, you get Tom Cruise jumping out of shit and, like, that's what you watch one of those movies for.
Right. Yeah. And it looked like the whole gang was back, like you mentioned. Ving Rhames, Simon Pegg. I saw Pom Clementif, who was in Dead Reckoning.
Yep.
I'm pretty sure I saw a quick shot of Jeremy Renner,
Oh.
who was in one or two of these. Hasn't been in the last couple. And Rebecca Ferguson, I think, for a quick. But based on what happened in the previous movie, that might have been a dream sequence or whatever. No spoilers. But so yeah, May 2025, possibly the last Mission Impossible film.
There you go.
And that's all I got to say about that. So Steve, no comic for you this week, eh?
No formal comic. I can confirm that I read a good number of them, and that both Absolute Superman and Batgirl #1, and yes, this is me
Batgirl?
talking about two DC books.
Yeah,
were both goddamn bangers.
Really?
Yeah. Like,
awesome.
Both absolute like enough that I will probably grab like the next one.
Wow. Okay. So, questions then. I missed both Absolute Batman and Absolute Superman.
Yeah.
They were sold out before I could get a copy of either of them.
Yep.
So, but Jason Aaron is Absolute Superman, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Jason Aaron is Absolute Superman, and
Ninja Turtles.
Ninja Turtles,
That's right.
which I
Yeah.
was able to read one and or well, I read one prior, but read two of his run on Ninja Turtles. Didn't get to three, but
Mhm.
also still a banger. Like Aaron is he's pumping them out and cooking on all cylinders.
So real quick, what is it in general that you like about Absolute Superman? Why is it a banger?
I guess it, and I don't want to say it felt, it felt like it was a serious tone without being the dark and gritty of like
Okay.
a DC EU bullshit.
Yeah. Because that's what I was kind of worried about based on like the images that I saw from Absolute Superman.
No,
Yeah.
and trying to tiptoe around it without throwing something at you. There's a there are a couple of plot devices that are utilized that make it make sense
Okay.
and why it feels that way. And it's a
Because
lot of
they
it has to
are
do with Krypton and what's going on Krypton before the planet
okay.
gets fucked.
Because for those of you who are listening that may not know, this Absolute line is reinventing the origins of these characters. So, I wasn't even sure that Krypton had exploded, in the Absolute Superman world. Like, who knows? Maybe it's radically different. Um, the same. You're getting similar characters, but coming from different backgrounds, different things affecting them. So they end up, different in certain ways.
Right.
And Absolute Wonder Woman, I believe, is coming out next.
No, that came out in between the two. Apparently, I missed that.
Already's out?
Yeah.
What?
So Jesse let me know I missed that, and I was like, because I had been telling him how I enjoyed Batman and Superman, and he was like, "Well,
Yeah.
what about Wonder
man.
Woman?" I'm like, "You didn't tell me that was here."
I didn't know that it was out. I
Yeah.
didn't feel like I didn't even hear about it.
Well, there
damn, I
will be
missed all three
second
of them.
printings on all of them.
I'm sure they will.
There'll probably be
sure they will.
multiple
So
printings.
then, also real quick, what made you pick up Batgirl?
You?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
me just liking Batgirl as a character.
You're just general enjoyment of the Bat family, and I was like, you know
okay.
what? Give it a go.
And this is Cassandra Cain.
Yes.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah.
So what about Batgirl? Grabbed you that she's an absolute badass.
Well, yes, but you know her mom?
I don't think I do know her mom.
Well, she features heavily in this. And
Oh,
it's very
okay.
well done, and you get a lot of inner monologue from Cassandra Cain about her wrestling with her mother being her mother and her being part of the Bat family, and how there's a dichotomy here, and it's very well done. I was hoping
I need to. I don't remember who her mother is. I remember who her dad is.
her mother is
Whoops.
someone.
Somebody.
This is great for
Great podcasting.
great, yeah, 100%.
Well, we'll figure it out. There's also probably like huge Batgirl fans just screaming at us right now.
Shiva.
Oh, is that confirmed? I didn't know if that was confirmed. Oh my god. Okay.
Well, it was in this book.
Okay.
I don't know if it was confirmed.
Oh yeah,
but
no,
it was
there it is.
definitely.
I think I knew she was trained by Lady Shiva. I guess I didn't know that it was her mom. Okay. Yeah, that's awesome. I love Lady Shiva. So that's cool as hell.
So you can imagine
Maybe I
the
knew that and I
dichotomy
forgot. I
between
don't
Lady
remember.
Shiva and the Bat family and how they go about things slightly differently.
Yes. Yeah. Lady Shiva is a great character that
Kills everything.
Yep. Yeah, she's the greatest martial artist in the DC universe.
Mhm.
And shows up every once in a while. I mean, shows up all over the place, but I do love when she has a run-in with any Bat family crew. Well, cool, man. I'm glad that you're digging some DC stuff. My book that I officially have to review is from Dark Horse Comics. It is called FML, which I can only assume stands for "Fuck My Life." That's what the kids are saying online. It was written by
for the last 30 years.
30 years. Um, heavy hitter Kelly Sue DeConnick, art by David Lopez, colors Chris Peter, and letters my boy Clayton Cowles. This book was awesome. I
Nice.
was kind of speed reading it because I lost track of time and needed to finish reading it directly before we started recording. I wish I wasn't doing that. I wish I had time to like pour over every page of this and stare at all of the art. It's about a group of kind of misfit kids that are in a band together, and they like going to a house in the middle of the woods and either creating stories or coming up with just like goofy witchcrafty kind of things. Um, and the artwork is very cool. It's very vibrant and huge, and every once in a while there'll be like a flashback or something that will be depicted as being like
Oh, that's awesome.
sketched on a piece of loose leaf
I
paper.
love that.
Yeah, very cool. And the main character Riley is a sketch artist, so it's like kind of depicted as being from his book. Um, and this is all happening in a background of wildfires breaking out and the sky being orange and the air quality being unsafe. They're living under the threat of possible evacuation at a moment's notice. So there's a lot of like anxiety kind of in the background of the book in general. Um, Riley's mom plays a big role in the book and had some real laugh out loud kind of moments. So it's about them kind of struggling to not trying to fit in. They're just trying to like be a good band and do their own thing and survive in this like a anxiety ridden world of theirs. And at the end, I'm not going to spoil what happens, but I don't know, something crazy happens to one of them that is revealed in the last page of this book that will kind of propel the story forward. They attempt a spell when they're at their cool hideout in the woods. They find some old spell book or something. I don't even remember. I was reading it so fast. I wish I didn't have to. Like I said, didn't have to speed through it. But and they try some kind of conjuring or spell, and they don't think it worked. But they wake up the next day, and whoo, it worked. Um, I would definitely recommend picking this book up. It's super cool. It's super fun. Like I said, art is great. Story is really cool. I'm very interested to see where it goes. I will probably pick up issue 2. See where it goes from there. Kelly Sue DeConnick. Um, just always great. She's a heavy hitter, like I said. So, FML on stands now. Check it out at Funky Town Comics and Vinyl. Came out last week, I believe,
Nice.
and it's great.
Oh, I did.
Speaking of,
I did. I'm remiss to mention that Batgirl was Tate Brownball and Takeshi Miyazawa on art.
ooh, okay, yeah, yeah, awesome, cool,
So
cool, cool,
Brownball
cool.
was on House of Slaughter. So
Yes, that's right. That's how I know that name. This week in your local comic book store, you may find copies of Action Comics number 1076. Archie is Mr. Justice number 1. Avengers Assemble number 3. Barbarella number 2. Batman and Robin Year 1 number 2. Batman Superman World's Finest number 33. Catwoman number 70. Daredevil number 15. Dark Knights of Steel All Winter number 5. EC's Epitaph from the Abyss number 5. Exceptional X-Men number 3. Geiger, number 8. Godzilla, Skate or Die, number 5. Don't know what that's about. House of Slaughter, number 27. Ice Cream Man, 42. Immortal Thor, number 17. Jenny Sparks, number 4. Miles Morales, Spider Man, number 26. Moondogs, number 1. Milestone Universe, The Shadow Cabinet, number 1. Moon Knight, Fists of Khonshu, number 2. Phoenix, number 4. And the list I was reading had the Phoenix number 4 and Phoenix number 5 listed. I don't know if that's a mistake or there's 2 issues coming out in the same week. That seems crazy.
maybe it's a second run of 4 and a first run of 5.
Could be, but they usually specify that in the list that I read. So I don't know. There's an issue
Yeah.
of Phoenix coming out. Go get it. Scarlet Witch number 6, Sentinels number 2, Spider Gwen Ghost Spider number 7, Star Wars Battle of Jakku Republic Under Siege number 1, Storm number 2, Terminator number 2, Titans number 17, Ultimate Spider-Man 11, Wolverine 3, and Wonder Woman 15.
No, it's
You
Phoenix 5.
pulling?
It's definitely 5.
It's Phoenix 5.
Because
Okay.
I looked
Maybe
over
it
and
was
I
just
realized Phoenix 4 was sitting right there.
okay. Could have just been like a typo or whatever on the list or a misprint or whatever.
Yeah.
Um, who knows? You pulling any of these books? You doing
Um,
Wolverine?
Wolverine, Storm, Ultimate Spider-Man, I think are the
Mhm.
3 that are left. Phoenix is always a maybe. I haven't caught up enough, so I'm like tentative on whether I'm pulling it.
Mm. Yeah.
Um, I the Geiger, I wish I'd have gotten on.
I don't know anything about it. Is it
Well,
good?
talking to Jesse, it seems like all of the Ghost Machine stuff from IDW has become
Yeah.
some of their biggest pulls.
Oh man.
Like people are all over it, and apparently it's really good. I mean, everything I've read from it has been solid. A couple weeks ago, I read that Hyde Street that was
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
the horror type horror type book that I was on that was really good.
Yeah.
And I think there were a couple others that I've read that are in that universe, and they've been solid. So, kind of wish I'd have gotten on that when it popped out, but apparently I didn't. So
Hmm.
much for that. Anything jumping at you?
Um, not really. Like I said, I'm slimming down on my floppy pulls. I did just look up while you were talking because I realized that I don't remember seeing the 5th issue of Zatanna Bring Down the House, but apparently it says it came out in late October. So I
I
definitely
never got
missed
number
it.
3, so I'm stuck on 1 and 2.
Well, 5 was like the last one, and I had all the other ones. Hell, maybe
Mm-hmm.
Jesse's got it in a back order, or like uh, not a back order. What's the back issue? Yeah, that's the term I'm looking for.
Well, and by
That's a
the
huge bummer
timing
because
you
I love
said,
that series.
yeah, by the timing you mentioned, that was kind of in that stretch where everything was coming in not at the right times or not
Hmm.
appropriately or whatever. So maybe it got lost
Yeah,
in the wash somewhere.
and I always have the end of October is always pretty busy for me. So yeah, I must have just missed it. It's a huge
Um,
bummer. Should have put it on my pull list.
yeah,
Let this be a lesson to all of you listening that are looking to get into comics. Start a pull list so you don't miss any issues.
which they just streamlined their pull list. Um, Instead of they have a big checklist that you can just check the boxes on what you want to pull.
Yeah, yeah,
So
pretty great.
yeah, I did notice Exceptional X-Men 3 is coming out.
Yeah.
1 and 2, I think this week because I had caught up on 1 and 2. I sent you that page where Kitty was Kate Pride was wrestling with uh, you know basically the whole thing is she starts the series as a bartender, randomly trying to live a normal life, avoid the mutants that like we're in the fallout from Krakoa and
Yeah.
all that. So she starts there, ends up finding another mutant that she ends up helping, and then another mutant she ends up helping, and then there's one page where somebody asks her name, and she says like Kate, and then it's like dot 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 Kitty Pride, and it was just like there was something that hit about that page, and I was like, yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, like she's back. So
Nice.
I might grab that for shits and giggles, just because I mean
Awesome.
when Kitty's written well, and basically the
She's
way
the
it's
best.
billed is Kitty versus Emma with control of this young group of young mutants,
Right.
kind of in the balance. Ultimately, I'd assume there's some amiable reconciliation because Emma lately, for the last 10 years, has been a protagonist, not a morally gray antagonist.
Right.
So I think there'll be some amiable reconciliation there, but it's like, where's this going? So
Yeah.
might it might be one I drop and then pick up in trade or something
In a
like
trade.
that. But
Yeah, yeah. I hear you. Seeing Storm #2 on there made me realize the thing that I meant to say about the What If trailer is that they introduce Storm at the end of it with the voice that's from the 97 series.
mm-hmm.
And she's like the god of thunder. She's like wielding Thor's hammer. Like that part was cool.
Yeah.
But also like I'm really sick of the MCU giving us all these like half-assed X-Men drops, but then just nothing that's actual X-Men. Besides Deadpool, Wolverine, fine, but not like in the main continuity. Like even this What If thing, it's like, yo, it's not in the main continuity. I kind of don't care. I
Yeah.
kind of don't care. I want the X-Men with everybody else, and not in a side universe.
Yeah,
Anyway.
I hear you. I hear you, Mike. Trust
Just
me.
more whining about What If for no apparent reason. And that's all I got, Steve. I don't have anything else to talk about. Do you have anything else to talk about?
No, I don't particularly, but if you'd like to talk to us more, you can talk to us on socials at the Multiverse Report. If you'd like to
Sure can.
find us and leave us a review on your podcatcher of choice, it's the Multiverse Report on wherever you find us. If you're watching us on YouTube, please feel free to like, subscribe, ring the bell so you know when we're getting new episodes up and running. Beyond that, just, I guess find out what we're doing from the Multiverse Report wherever you're at.
Wherever you're at. And I know mostly we've been saying, I've been slacking on social media in general pretty much, but mostly we've been keeping it Instagram and Threads over the last few months. However, Blue Sky is really starting to pop. A lot of mass exodus from Twitter after the results of the election and information surrounding that. So Blue Sky is banging. I've over doubled my follower account just from having comic writer in the title of my
there you go.
handle.
I can't put that in the title
3
of my
days,
handle.
in like the last 3 days. You can't? I mean,
No.
you could. It'd be a lie.
Right.
You couldn't back
It'd
it
be
up.
a blatant lie.
Yeah.
Comic
So I'm
reader?
going to try.
Can I put comic
us-
reader in there?
Yeah, sure. So I'm going to try getting some stuff back up on Blue Sky as well if you were out there. So check us out. And yeah, do all the things that Steve said. And as we always say, as the twin sons set over the burnt corpses of Owen and Brew Lars, we say thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And we'll see you in the multiverse.